Eli stumbled through the dense forest, sweat running down his face. The alien trees towered over him, their trunks twisting like giant snakes. Strange glowing plants lit the path in faint green light, and the air smelled sharp, like metal and rain. Eli's heart beat fast. He wasn't supposed to be here. He wasn't supposed to be anywhere near this part of the planet. But he had wandered too far, chasing a sound he couldn't ignore. A soft cry pierced the air. At first, Eli thought it was just the wind, or maybe one of the small alien animals he had seen earlier. But then the cry came again, louder, more desperate. It was a child's voice. His chest tightened. Without thinking, Eli ran toward the sound, pushing past thorny vines and leaping over roots that could have tripped him easily. The forest opened into a small clearing. Eli froze. In the center, a little alien child crouched on the ground, hugging her knees. Her skin was pale, almost glowing under the green light. Her eyes were large and violet, staring at him with fear and hope at the same time. She had no shoes, her clothes torn, and she looked smaller than any child he had ever seen. Before he could speak, a low growl rumbled behind him. Eli turned slowly and saw shadows moving between the trees. Eyes, glowing red, watched him from the darkness. He could hear claws scraping against the bark. Predators, dangerous predators. His stomach sank. The child looked up at him and whimpered. "Please, help me," she said in a soft musical voice. Eli felt a strange warmth in his chest. He didn't know why, but he knew he couldn't leave her. Not now. He stepped forward carefully, keeping his hands visible. "It's okay, I won't hurt you," he said. The child flinched but didn't run. That gave him hope. He slowly reached out, and she didn't pull away. Eli's fingers brushed hers, and she flinched once, then let him take her hand. A sudden snap of a branch made Eli spin around. A massive creature lunged from the shadows, its claws ready to strike. Eli's heart raced. He had no weapon, no real way to fight it, but instinct took over. He grabbed the child and ran, dodging low-hanging branches. The predator swiped at him, missing by inches. Eli's lungs burned, his legs screamed, but he didn't stop. Not for a second. As he ran, the forest seemed to close in around them. Another predator appeared from the left, and another from the right. Eli's mind raced. How could he survive? How could he save her? Then, from the mist ahead, a figure appeared. Tall, strong, moving like she was part of the forest itself. Her eyes glowed like liquid fire, and she hissed a sound that made Eli's skin crawl. Her movements were fast, precise, and terrifying. She leapt between them and the predators, claws flashing, and in an instant, she had the child in her arms. "Your sense on him, idiot," the Huntress hissed at Eli. Her voice was sharp, dangerous. Eli froze. He had no idea what she meant. She held the child close, eyes scanning the forest. "He's safe. For now," she said softly, though her glare at Eli didn't soften. Eli swallowed hard. He wanted to explain, wanted to say he only tried to help, but the Huntress's gaze made him pause. She was not someone to argue with. Her presence alone was enough to make the predators hesitate. They snarled, then disappeared back into the shadows. The child clung to her like a leaf in the wind. Eli watched, breathing hard, feeling both relief and fear. He realized the Huntress wasn't just protecting her, she had a connection. Something deep, something powerful. And Eli, he was in the middle of it, a human with no knowledge of the dangers he had just stepped into. The Huntress's eyes never left him. "Follow us if you want. But don't get in the way," she said. Eli nodded, feeling the weight of every word. He had no idea who she was, why the child mattered so much, or what dangers lay ahead. All he knew was that something about this child, and this Huntress, had changed his life forever. The forest was quiet again, but Eli knew it was only the calm before the storm. The huntress moved with the child in her arms, and Eli followed, heart pounding. He didn't know what waited for them ahead, but one thing was certain. This was the start of something far bigger than he could imagine. Eli ran behind the huntress, his legs aching and lungs burning. The forest was alive with strange sounds, cracking branches, distant roars, and the whisper of the wind through alien leaves. The little child, still clutched in the huntress's arms, looked back at him with wide, violet eyes. Eli wanted to reach out, to tell her he was there to help. But the huntress moved too fast, too deadly, for him to catch up easily. Her name was Valera, Eli realized. He had heard it in a hiss, a sharp, commanding sound that carried authority. She didn't speak much, only occasional warnings in a language he didn't understand. But her eyes, fierce and glowing, said everything. She was angry at him, angry at the predators, angry at the world for daring to put her charge in danger. "You don't belong here, human," she finally said in broken English, her voice like a whip cutting through the forest sounds. "Your scent, it is everywhere. You bring trouble." Eli's heart sank. He had only tried to help. He hadn't known that just touching the child would mark him. I didn't mean to," Eli stammered, stumbling over a root. "I just found her. She was scared. I wanted to help." Valera stopped suddenly, spinning on her heels to face him. Her movements were fluid, like a predator ready to strike. "Idiot," she hissed, baring sharp teeth that glinted in the faint green light. "Do you know what you have done?" Eli shook his head. Her glare made him feel smaller than he had ever felt in his life. "The predators. They follow the scent of danger," she said, her voice low, tense. "Your smell is human, weak, easy to track. If you stay close, you will bring them here again." She shifted the child, cradling her protectively. The little alien clung to Valera's neck, shivering slightly but whispering softly, "It's okay. He's safe. I think." Eli frowned. Safe? How could she be safe when predators roamed this forest? When he could barely keep up, much less fight them off. But Valera's confidence was unshakable. Every step she took, the forest seemed to bow slightly around her. Predators that had been brave enough to attack before now kept their distance. Sensing the huntress's deadly presence, they moved silently, weaving through the trees. Eli struggled to keep up. Every crack of a branch under his foot made him fear he had already doomed them. Valera noticed his struggle. She paused for a moment, eyes narrowing. "Stay close. Do not breathe loudly. Do not touch anything," she commanded. Eli nodded frantically. A sudden rustle in the bushes made him jump. A pack of predators leapt toward them, claws out, teeth snapping. Eli froze. Valera moved faster than his eyes could follow. In a blur of motion, she struck, claws flashing and sending the creatures tumbling. They howled and ran, leaving the forest eerily silent once more. Eli exhaled shakily. How did you do that?" he asked, awe in his voice. "Training, instinct, survival," Valera replied sharply. Then, softer to the child, she murmured something in her language. The child giggled slightly, her fear easing. Eli watched, fascinated. This huntress wasn't just strong. She was protective, almost gentle, with the child. But with him, she was still sharp, unforgiving, like a blade. They continued through the forest. Valera's movements were careful, deliberate, each step measured. She glanced at Eli occasionally, still wary, still irritated, but not angry in the same way as before. Eli realized that she might be testing him, testing if he was smart, fast and brave enough to survive in this world. Night began to fall. The forest glowed faintly with bioluminescent plants, casting long shadows over the mossy ground. Eli shivered. He had no idea where they were going. The child Lyra whispered again, this time reaching out a tiny hand toward him. He knelt, letting her touch his finger. A small spark of warmth passed through him. He had a connection now, a reason to keep moving, to stay alive. Valera stopped abruptly at a small clearing. Her eyes scanned the horizon. She hissed again at Eli. "No mistakes. Stay. Watch. Learn. Protect. If you fail, the child dies." The weight of her words hit Eli like a hammer. This wasn't just survival. This was life or death, every moment. Eli nodded, feeling a strange mix of fear and determination. He had entered an alien world without knowing why, without knowing what dangers lay ahead. But one thing was clear: he could not let the child go. And somehow he had to earn the Huntress's respect. The forest seemed to grow dark around them. Predators waited in the shadows, unseen but near. Eli tightened his fists. He didn't know what was coming next, but he knew one thing: his life had changed forever, and he couldn't turn back now. Eli followed Valera through the dense forest, every step feeling heavier than the last. His legs ached, his lungs burned, and his hands were scratched from the sharp alien plants. But he could not stop. The little child, Lyra, clung to Valera's back like a small shadow, her violet eyes wide and alert. Every time she looked at him, Eli felt a surge of responsibility and fear. If anything happened to her, he knew he could never forgive himself. The forest was eerily quiet now. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Eli noticed the way Valera moved, silent, precise, like she was one with the shadows. Every sense of hers was alert. The way she held the child, the way she scanned the trees, even the faint hiss she made when something moved in the underbrush, it all told him she was ready for danger. "Stay close," Valera warned, her voice sharp. "Do not breathe too loudly. Do not step on dry leaves. Do not make a mistake." Eli nodded quickly, swallowing hard. He had been trying to keep up, but now he realized he needed to be perfect. One wrong step could bring disaster, not just for him, but for Lyra. Suddenly, a rustle echoed behind them. Eli spun around, heart hammering. Shadows moved between the twisted trees, eyes glowing red in the dim light. Predators. They had found them. Valera's head snapped toward the threat, and her body coiled like a spring ready to strike. "Stay behind me," she hissed. Eli froze in place, knowing he had no weapons and no skill to fight these creatures. All he had was courage, and maybe that was not enough. The predators leapt from the shadows, snarling, claws extended. Eli panicked for a moment, but then noticed something. Valera moved like water. Fast, flowing, deadly. She struck with perfect precision, taking down one predator after another. But there were too many. Even she could not handle the entire pack alone. Eli's mind raced. He had to do something. He looked around and grabbed a broken branch from the ground. His hands shook, but he steadied it. When a predator lunged toward them, he swung the branch, catching it off guard. The creature yelped and stumbled. Another predator turned to attack him, but Valera leapt in between, claws flashing, teeth bared. Eli realized something. For the first time she was trusting him, not fully, but enough to let him help. "Careful," Valera hissed, snatching Lyra up and spinning away from a predator. "Idiot! Not too close, but not too far either." Eli stumbled, panting, barely keeping up, but he forced himself to move faster. He had no idea how long he could last, but he knew he had to survive. The fight continued for what felt like hours. Eli discovered that he could use the forest to his advantage, throwing rocks, blocking paths, distracting the predators. It was clumsy, untrained, but it worked just enough to give Valera the opening she needed. She glanced at him once, a flicker of something in her eyes, a mixture of surprise and maybe approval. Finally, after the last predator fell into a trap of Valera's making, the forest went quiet again. Eli sank to the ground, breathless, muscles trembling. Valera set Lyra down and looked at him sharply. "You are reckless," she said. Her claws flexed, still ready, still dangerous. "But you survived. That means something." Eli shook his head, trying to catch his breath. I just wanted to help, he said quietly. His hands still trembled, but he felt a strange pride. He had survived, and he had kept Lyra safe. Valera crouched down, her glowing eyes meeting his. Humans are strange, she said softly, almost to herself. Weak, but stubborn. You may be more than I thought. Eli's heart skipped. Was that respect? Or a warning? He couldn't tell. Lyra stepped closer, holding out her small hand. Eli knelt and took it. She smiled faintly. Her trust felt like a small flame in the dark, and Eli knew that whatever came next, he could not let it die. Valera stood, holding Lyra close. We move, she said. There is no time. More are coming. We need to find safe ground. And fast. Eli nodded, following her again. The forest seemed darker now, more dangerous. Every shadow could hide a predator. Every sound could signal attack. But Eli felt something grow inside him, determination. For the first time he realized he was not alone. He had the child, he had the Huntress, and though he was untrained, he had courage. Together they might survive, maybe, but the forest was endless, the dangers constant, and Eli knew that the next step could be their last. The forest was quiet now, but Eli knew it was a dangerous calm. Every step he took reminded him that predators still lurked in the shadows, waiting for the smallest mistake. Valera moved ahead with the grace of a born hunter, Lyra clutched tightly in her arms. Eli followed closely, trying to match her speed and stealth, though he knew he was far slower, far weaker than she expected. Finally, Valera stopped in a small clearing. The light of alien moons filtered through the thick canopy, painting the ground in silver and green. She knelt and placed Lyra gently on a soft bed of moss. The child looked at Eli, her violet eyes wide and curious. She whispered something in her musical language. Eli did not understand the words, but he could feel the tone, a mixture of trust and caution. Valera's eyes softened slightly as she looked at Lyra. You must not speak to him yet, she said. Her voice was firm but gentle. Eli felt a strange tension. He wanted to talk to the child, to comfort her, but he could see why Valera was cautious. This child was special, dangerous in a way he could not yet comprehend. Eli sat quietly on a nearby log, watching. Who is she? He finally asked. His voice was low. He did not want to upset Valera. She is not just a child, Valera said slowly, her glowing eyes scanning the forest edges. She is Lyra, heir to a line that few survive to see. She carries power, a power that many would kill to claim. That is why predators follow her. That is why I protect her. Eli's mind raced. Power? He looked at the tiny alien, so small and fragile, and could not imagine what kind of power she could have. She barely looked old enough to walk alone, yet she held the attention of the fiercest huntress and the deadliest predators alike. Lyra stepped closer to Eli, tilting her head. She whispered softly, her voice like a song. You smell different. Not dangerous. Eli froze. She could smell him? Understand him? It was impossible. And yet, the words felt like warmth in the cold fear of the forest. He smiled faintly, feeling a connection he could not explain. Valera noticed their small interaction. Her eyes narrowed. She can sense intentions, human, she said sharply. Do not make a mistake. One false move, and she may distrust you. One false move, and predators may sense her fear. Do you understand? Eli nodded, swallowing hard. The weight of responsibility pressed on him like never before. The child reached out her small hand to touch Eli's cheek. He flinched, then held still. She pulled back, satisfied, and whispered another word he could not understand. But it felt like a promise and unspoken trust. Valera's eyes softened again, though she kept a sharp edge. Lyra is the last of her line, she said quietly. Enemies hunt her because of her blood, because of the abilities she carries. Her power is hidden, even from her, until she grows. But it is enough to make others kill. That is why she cannot stay with you or me openly. We must move carefully. Eli felt a chill run down his spine. He had stumbled into something far larger than he could imagine. This was not just survival in an alien forest. This was a war for a child's life, a war he had no choice but to join. He looked at Lyra, her small hands clutching Valera's arm. She gazed at him again, violet eyes full of curiosity and hope. Eli felt a strange determination rise inside him. He would protect her. He didn't know how. He didn't know what dangers lay ahead. But he knew he could not abandon her. Valera stood and lifted Lyra again. "We must move," she said. "There are others watching. Enemies will strike soon. Stay close, human. Do not fall behind. Do not breathe too loudly. And do not touch her again unless I allow it." Eli swallowed. He nodded, feeling the pressure of every word as they moved deeper into the forest. Eli kept his eyes on Lyra. The forest grew darker, more twisted. Strange sounds echoed in the distance, and Eli felt as if unseen eyes were following them. He realized that the child was more than just someone to protect. She was a key. A key to something he could not yet understand. Something powerful enough to change the balance of life in this world. And he had only just begun to step into her world. The forest seemed endless. Shadows twisted around every tree, and the alien air smelled of damp earth and danger. Eli's legs burned from running. His hands scraped from the thorns and rocks. He was tired, but he could not stop. Not with Lyra clinging to Valera's back, her violet eyes watching him with quiet curiosity. Valera's pace was relentless. Every step was careful, deliberate, as if she could feel the predators before they moved. Eli tried to match her speed, stumbling more than once. He had no training in this world, no skills to fight its dangers, but he refused to fall behind. He couldn't. "You are reckless," Valera hissed suddenly, glancing at him over her shoulder. "One mistake and you will bring them down on us. Do you understand?" Eli swallowed hard. I understand," he said, though he knew understanding was not enough. His body ached, but his mind was alert. Every sound, every shadow could be a threat. A sudden rustle froze them both. Eli's heart jumped. From the shadows stepped a figure tall, armored, moving with the precision of a predator. His eyes locked on Lyra. Valera hissed, stepping in front of the child. "Stay back," she warned, claws flexing. The figure spoke in a language Eli could not understand. Valera's eyes narrowed. Then, surprisingly, the figure switched to broken English. "She must come with me," he said. "The council has decided. No human, no huntress can protect her." Eli's stomach sank. He wanted to speak, to explain, to say he would protect Lyra, but Valera moved first. With lightning speed, she lunged at the intruder, claws flashing. The figure deflected her attack with ease, countering with a weapon that glowed with energy. Sparks flew. Eli realized this was no ordinary foe. "Run, human!" Valera hissed. Eli hesitated. He was no fighter. But he could not abandon Lyra. He moved alongside them, dodging and weaving, grabbing branches and rocks to throw at the attacker. Each throw was clumsy, yet it distracted him just long enough for Valera to defend the child. The battle was chaotic. Eli's fear grew, but so did a strange confidence. He was learning slowly to act alongside the Huntress. When the attacker lunged toward Lyra, Eli shoved him back with all his strength. The figure stumbled. Valera took the opening and struck, driving him away with a powerful hiss. When the intruder retreated into the shadows, Valera dropped to the ground, panting. She held Lyra close, scanning the forest. "You see?" she said to Eli, her voice sharp but quieter now. "This is why I warned you. Your presence can change everything, sometimes for the better, sometimes for worse. You must be careful." Eli nodded, exhausted. I just want to help," he said quietly. He looked at Lyra, who smiled faintly, her trust shining like a small light in the darkness. It was enough to give him courage. Valera's eyes softened slightly as she studied him. "Perhaps you are not completely useless," she muttered. Eli blinked. Could it be respect? Or just grudging acknowledgement? Either way, he felt a small victory. Lyra reached out to touch Eli's hand. He held it gently, careful not to frighten her. Her small grip was strong in its own way. Eli realized that trust was fragile here. One wrong move could destroy it and possibly put them all in danger. "Listen carefully," Valera said, her tone sharp again. "More will come. Predators, hunters, council agents. All will want her. You must stay alert. And you, human, do not underestimate her. She is small, but she is far stronger than you know. And stronger than I may ever reveal." Eli swallowed, feeling the weight of her words. The child he had found lost in the forest was not just any child. She was someone the universe wanted to claim, someone whose life held power and secrets beyond his understanding. As night fell, they found a small hollow under a giant tree. Valera set Lyra down carefully and motioned for Eli to sit across from her. The forest was silent now, but Eli knew it was only temporary. Danger was always near. Yet sitting there, he felt a strange connection forming, between him and Valera, and between him and the child. A bond forged in fear, in fight, and in trust. For the first time, Eli felt like he was no longer just a lost human in an alien world. He was part of something bigger. And though he did not yet understand the full danger, he knew one thing for certain: he would not let Lyra face it alone. Eli's heart pounded as he followed Valera and Lyra deeper into the alien forest. The trees grew thicker, their twisting branches blotting out the moonlight. Every shadow seemed alive, every rustle a potential threat. Eli's muscles ached from running and climbing, but he refused to fall behind. Lyra's tiny hand clung to Valera's arm, and Eli felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him. Valera moved silently, her eyes scanning every movement in the dark. "We are close," she hissed. "Stay alert. The trap is near." Eli's stomach tightened. A trap? He wondered what kind of danger lay ahead. More predators? Or something worse? He had no idea. Suddenly, a metallic click echoed through the forest. Eli froze. Valera's ears twitched. "There," she whispered. From between two massive trees, shadows shifted, revealing alien soldiers armed with glowing weapons. They had been lying in wait. Eli's pulse raced. He knew they were outnumbered, and their enemies had the advantage. "They followed us," Valera said, her claws flexing. "Your scent, human. It has brought them here." Eli swallowed hard. His mistake had marked them, and now the enemy knew exactly where they were. Fear surged, but there was no time to dwell on it. One of the soldiers stepped forward, aiming a weapon at Lyra. Eli's heart leapt into his throat. Without thinking, he lunged, grabbing a fallen branch to block the attack. The weapon fired a burst of energy, and the branch splintered, but it bought enough time for Valera to move. She struck with deadly precision, knocking the soldier aside and shielding Lyra. "Move!" Valera hissed. Eli ran beside her, dodging blasts and clawing vines that sprang up from the ground. The forest seemed to close in, twisting around them like it was alive. Eli noticed that the predators and soldiers moved with coordination. This was no random attack. They had planned it. Lyra's eyes began to glow faintly. Eli froze, staring at her. The soft light from her violet eyes spread across the forest floor. He could feel it in the air, a strange, powerful energy that pulsed like a heartbeat. The soldiers faltered, stepping back, confused. Valera's eyes widened slightly. She's showing it. Her power is awakening, she muttered. Eli's mouth went dry. He had no idea what she could do, but it was enough to make their enemies hesitate. The group ran faster, weaving through thick roots and leaping over fallen logs. Eli felt a surge of courage. He might be human, weak in strength, untrained in combat, but he could think, act, and protect. Using fallen branches, rocks, and the environment around him, he distracted the attackers, giving Valera the opening she needed to strike with deadly precision. Finally, they reached a small canyon. Valera paused, holding Lyra close. "Here," she said, her voice low and sharp. "We can make a stand. But you must trust her and trust me." Eli nodded, breathless. He felt the energy from Lyra pulse against him. It was faint but strong, enough to give him hope that the enemies emerged from the shadows, ready for the final attack. Eli's fear threatened to overwhelm him, but he stood firm. He had to. Lyra's safety, and possibly his own, depended on it. Valera positioned herself in front of the child, claws and energy flashing. Eli moved alongside her, trying to anticipate the attacks. Together, they formed a fragile alliance, humans and Huntress working as one. The battle was tense, every second stretching into eternity. Energy blasts lit up the canyon, shadows dancing on the rocks. Lyra's faint glow intensified, creating a protective aura. Eli realized that the child's power could change everything. If controlled, it could save them all, but if uncontrolled, it could be dangerous. When the final soldier fell, silence returned to the canyon. The forest, as if holding its breath, waited. Valera looked at Eli, eyes glowing faintly. "You survived," she said. "And you helped. That is rare for a human." Eli exhaled, exhausted but alive. He had passed the first true test. Lyra stepped forward, reaching out a tiny hand to touch Eli. He held it gently, feeling a spark of warmth and connection. The child's eyes glowed softly, like a promise. Eli understood something in that moment. He was not just a protector. He was part of this strange, dangerous world now. And together, they might survive. But Eli knew one thing: this trap had been only the beginning. The forest was far from safe, and the enemies who wanted Lyra would not give up easily. The forest was alive with tension. Every shadow seemed dangerous, every sound a warning. Eli's legs burned, and his heart raced. He had survived the traps, the predators, and the attacks, but the final danger still awaited. He could feel it in the air, like electricity before a storm. Valera moved with lethal grace. Lyra clutched tightly in her arms. The child's violet eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the light of the alien moons. Eli followed as closely as he could, trying not to stumble, trying not to slow them down. He had learned a lot in these days: to watch the forest, to read its sounds, and to react quickly. But now he would need every ounce of courage he had left. Ahead, a clearing opened, and their enemies were waiting. A group of alien hunters, larger and more heavily armed than before, blocked their path. Their glowing weapons hummed with deadly energy, and their eyes were fixed on Lyra. Eli swallowed hard. He knew this could be the end. But he also knew he could not run. He would not leave Lyra to face them alone. Valera hissed sharply. "Stay close, human. Do exactly as I say, or you will die." Eli nodded, heart hammering. He had no weapons, no skills like hers, but he had courage, and that might be enough. The hunters attacked first. Energy blasts shot through the air, and the forest erupted in chaos. Eli dodged, ducked, and threw rocks at the attackers, clumsy but effective distractions. Valera moved like a shadow, striking with precision, tearing through the enemies with claws and speed that seemed impossible. Yet there were too many, and the pressure mounted. Lyra's violet eyes brightened, her body trembling slightly. Eli noticed a strange aura surrounding her, a soft light that pushed the enemies back. It was faint at first, but growing stronger. He realized her power was awakening fully. "Eli," Valera hissed. "Help her focus. Protect her." Eli took a deep breath and stepped forward. He shouted, waved his arms, and used every instinct he had learned to keep the hunters distracted. It was dangerous. A single mistake could mean death. But he pressed on, fighting through fear, fighting to protect the child. Lyra's aura flared suddenly, bright and powerful, like a small sun. The hunters stumbled, confused and blinded by the energy. Valera seized the moment, moving with deadly speed, taking down the remaining enemies. When the light faded, the forest was silent again. The hunters lay defeated or fleeing, and Eli could barely believe it. They had survived. Valera lowered Lyra gently to the ground, keeping her close. Her eyes glowed faintly as she scanned the forest. Then she turned to Eli. "You," she began, her voice low and sharp. "You survived. And you protected her. That is rare for a human." Eli swallowed, chest heaving, feeling the weight of her words. Respect. He had earned her respect. Lyra stepped forward slowly. She reached out her tiny hand to Eli. "Thank you," she whispered in her soft musical voice. Her violet eyes shone with trust and gratitude. Eli knelt, taking her hand gently, and felt a spark of warmth and connection. Valera watched silently, her expression unreadable at first. Then, almost imperceptibly, her shoulders relaxed, and a faint hiss of approval escaped her lips. "Perhaps humans are not completely useless," she muttered. Eli smiled faintly, exhausted but proud. He had entered this alien forest as a stranger, untrained. And now he had survived impossible dangers and earned the trust of both child and huntress. The three of them moved together, cautiously, back into the forest. Eli stayed close to Lyra, keeping her between himself and the dangers that still lurked. He knew this adventure was far from over. But for the first time, he felt a strange sense of belonging, a connection to this world, to Valera, and to the child he had saved. As they disappeared into the shadows of the alien trees, Eli realized that he had changed. He was no longer just a human in a strange world. He was a protector, a friend, and someone who had earned the respect of beings far stronger than himself. And though dangers would come again, he knew one thing for certain. He would never leave Lyra's side. The forest seemed quieter now, almost as if it recognized the alliance formed among them. Eli, Valera, and Lyra moved forward, three lives intertwined by trust, courage, and a bond forged in danger. The stars above glimmered faintly, as if witnessing the unlikely alliance of human and alien, protector and protected, united against all odds. And in that quiet moment, Eli felt a rare peace, knowing that he had not just survived, but had proven that even a human could matter in a world far beyond his own.